I was finishing a workout when you texted, and I didn't even expect you to be like, "Yeah, in 12 minutes." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Keep you guys on the toes.
Yeah, but I was totally down. But I was just like, "Oh shit!" Didn't expect that.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk with ZTS, where we, as brothers, search for ways to share our voices while having a good time just talking, having those real talk conversations, our shared experiences, and reacting to random topics and articles. As we always say, we all have something to share, and we look forward to sharing and building that community of stories that we can all relate to. Now enjoy the episode.
What's going on, man? Happy day. It's been a while since we've seen each other.
I know it does feel like it's been a while, right?
Yeah, but it's been exactly a week since we always do this, so it's good. It's good, man. You've been one of my closest friends for a long time. You ordained our wedding, so it's good. Like we stay in touch even when you're miles away.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I know it's definitely, yeah. I don't know why. It just feels like it's been longer.
Yeah, it felt like the last time we recorded something was like a month ago or something. But
I
no,
know,
we're
right?
yeah. If anything, it was probably less than 7 days because we probably did it in the middle of the week for some reason.
I
But
know,
no,
right?
we're here
Yeah.
now. Yeah, we're here now. We're doing good. Um, yeah, and honestly, yeah, it's not quite summer, but it's obviously still springtime, but it's definitely wet spring. I don't know how it is over there in California.
Oh yeah, it's been like mid 70s.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Damn,
mid
that's nice.
70s and sun. So it's hasn't been too bad, that's for sure.
It's been raining the past couple of weeks. It's been tough because part of our HOA, we get like every 3 years we get like our patio, our deck cleaned
Mhm.
by contractors. And so they had to delay it from our time like a couple days because it was raining. And then finally when it stopped raining, luckily they were out there and they're like, fuck it, let's just get, these units done. Um they were really nice. We tipped them a little bit because they weren't supposed to like clean our railings, but we asked them to, and they're like, "Yeah, no, we got you." And we're like, that's all we got, tip. And they're like, "Yeah, we would have done it for free, but sure." So it was nice, but then they couldn't put the coating back on because they have to allow it to dry, but then because it's been raining, it's like hasn't been dried. So we're expecting. I mean, hopefully, it's been raining even today on and off. That the sun finally comes out so that they can repressure and then put the decking on. But who knows? Luckily, we don't need to be there, but still.
Yeah, that's kind of it's Washington spring though, right?
Yeah, seriously. All right, man. Well, it's good to see you. Miss you. I know we've been planning some trips, me and Vanessa, and so heads up that we might hit you guys up. We don't know exactly what we're doing yet, but it'll be good to finally come see you guys.
Oh yeah, no,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah, just let
even
us
if
know.
it's like yeah, even if it's like a little weekend trip.
Yeah, that
Um,
works
yeah,
for us.
yeah, and like you guys don't even have to do so much. Maybe we could just do dinner or something, but you maybe give us a little insight, because we've been getting the travel bug, where we're like, okay, I think it's finally time to start traveling again.
Yeah, that itch, man.
Yeah,
I
the
know the
itch,
feeling.
yeah, yeah. But we'll keep you updated. But other than that, let's get started. I got a few good articles for us to react to. So this is the segment that I bring up. It's been booming. I think we'll get through it all today, with or without Destin. For those in listening, Destin might make a surprise uh, jump scare appearance. He's been having a rough 2 weeks alone with his kid because his wife was out of town, and also on top of that, he got some papers to write, so he's probably sleeping through his alarm right now. But if he jumps in, don't be alarmed. You'll hear him come on. But anyways, first article. I think you already know this. I think it's pretty cool. We talked about this all the time, especially in college with NIL. Previously, for those you hear us talk about almost every episode, we've been talking about NIL, and um, you guys know that previously college ball, college sports weren't allowed to get paid in any way, whether it's sponsorship, free gifts, free whatever. Tyler, you know where I'm leading on to this.
Yeah.
And but now with NIL, um, there are players who are actually making more money now in college than if they were to go to the pros. Um, I had a favorite quote. This is unrelated to the article, but I just read this quote. A couple episodes ago, we were talking about like the highest paid college athletes, and LeBron James' son, Bronny James, number one, right? And top three, I think number three overall, making a couple $1 million a year, is Olivia Dunn. I think is her name is the LSU gymnast.
Yeah.
She's currently third overall highest paid college athlete. And I think there was a quote that I just read recently where um, she's also a talented artist, like top gymnast. And she was talking with her coach one day when she was having a bad day, and her quote was, and her coach quoted this kind of like jokingly, like he or she wasn't offended, but I think it's a she. I don't know. The coach, LSU gymnast coach, do you know he or she?
Not off the
I
top of
don't
my
know.
head. No.
Let's just let's just say she. And there was a funny quote that came out recently where they were talking about Olivia Dunn and how much she makes, where they were like, she had a bad day at practice and she was like asking the coach for advice. And the coach jokingly responded saying, I don't know, you make more than me as a coach, you know? But it was just out of joke. But anyways, with all that said, back in the day, there were some dark times where like you got some players who were penalized for even getting any free handouts, even like free lunch, even, right? Like you couldn't get any sort of payment, no matter what it was. So one of the most famous Heisman winners, trophy winners of all time, Reggie Bush, superstar freak athlete, running back, for USC, had a great time in the NFL. Still a dynamic player during the NFL, but then, unfortunately didn't didn't get his championship or anything like that. But he was one of the most famous players 15 years ago who got his Heisman Trophy revoked because they found out he was accepting gifts on the side, right? And it wasn't anything crazy, it wasn't like he was getting gifted anything crazy. But 15 years later, as of a couple weeks ago, the Heisman Trust announced that they have reinstated him as a Heisman Trophy winner. So all is well, you know. I was reading the article a little bit. It's not. I mean, he was probably one of the few who got his Heisman Trophy stripped, so it's not like there's a lot of players. However, they're saying that this isn't for all people they strip, who violated previous rules. They're still going to undergo like certain investigations, right? And for him, it wasn't that bad, and so they were like, we'll revoke, we'll reinstate his Heisman. So, congrats, Reggie. Got his trophy back. So 15 years later, dude. Apparently, he's been suing them apparently for defamation, and even though they reinstated him as a Heisman Trophy winner, he's still pursuing that defamation lawsuit, which good for him.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was last 14 years essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's crazy, but
Yeah. I mean, you like think about it. For 15 years, you could have saw him, get paid a couple, double digit, 5 digit payments to go, go at every Heisman ceremony, right? But he couldn't even go to those because, technically he wasn't a Heisman winner anymore because he got stripped.
yeah.
You know, how cool would that have been to see his face like every year in those past 15 years? Those are priceless, dude,
Oh, absolutely.
to be honored at those things. But yeah, anyways, 15 years later, congrats, you got it back. So
Yeah,
uh
it's yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. All right. moving on away from sports. Um, Speaking of traveling, right? Venice, Italy, right? Venice is in Italy. So I don't know if you heard about this, but they are um they are now the first major city in the world to charge day trip visitors an entrance fee. So apparently it's in euros, but or whatever the currency is over there. But for US dollars, um, every little bit is about a little bit over $5 to get in. Um, Only if you're a daytime visitor, but if you're gonna like, I guess the fee is waived if you're gonna be there for more than a day or so, like you're staying in town. But still, though, man, the reason why they are putting up this entrance fee because they're being overpopulated right now. So
Yeah.
which is like a good thing, but also a bad thing because it's like, their economy can't handle, so many people at once. So to give the little leeway, they're charging a little over $5 for day trip visitors to visit. And they're not the first city to have this issue. They're just the first city ever to charge for them to come in. Like I think there was another one. Barcelona is having an issue as well, but Barcelona, instead of charging an entrance fee, they started removing like major bus lines from like their maps and everything, so that tourists don't overpopulate like their city and get into the city that way. So they're doing a little petty version of that.
Yeah. I
But
mean, but it makes the city more livable too, you know, because it's like one of those
yeah,
things. Like, obviously, if you live in that area, you're gonna get overrun by tourists.
yeah,
Like
that's true.
you can't even go and have a normal day.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? It's like, oh, you know what? I got to go to the grocery store today, get some bread, some eggs, maybe. And you step
Yeah,
outside, and it's just all tourists.
right,
Like, where
right.
do I go?
The
How do
tourist
I
runs out of
drive?
things to buy. They just start buying local eggs just for fun.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah,
this egg right here is from Venice.
yeah. Let me cram this in my cargo pants pocket. But no, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's not like breaking the bank, entrance fee, but you never know, man. When things start getting more populated, I don't know when we'll start seeing stuff like that happen in the U.S. Um, but then again, U.S. is so huge. Like you hear this from time and time again from a lot of international travelers, especially who come to the U.S. more often. They always say, um, a lot of people don't realize how big the U.S. actually is. Like like a lot of people who never came to the US before internationally, they always like, oh yeah, I'll go to New York and then um I'll take a walk to Seattle. It's not like that. Um
Yeah.
like I have a couple friends who like, live in other countries and stuff. And like from a US person who hasn't been out of town international yet, you're like you see them take these weekend trips, right? To like all these like places and you're like, damn, like how are you doing that? And then you get jealous, but then you're like, you forget that no matter where you are in Europe, especially major cities and ports, you're like a little under an hour away from everything else.
From
you know
every
yeah,
country.
yeah, like from Seattle to New York, like the equivalent of that, you're like less than an hour away from all these major cities. You can go to New York in an hour, in 2 hours, go from Seattle to New York to Miami, for example, in the Europe equivalent, right? Where here in the US, if you want to go Seattle to New York, it's like 8 hours flight in between, maybe even more. So,
Yeah.
so then it's like you're jealous that they're doing all that, and and you're kind of happy in that they're doing all that. But then you got to realize they can do all that because that's how close everything is. So, yeah. So I don't know if it'll ever happen in the U.S. because it's just so widespread. I mean, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see how it happens.
Yeah.
Well, they'll probably charge a major fee. Like remember last week we were talking about that new bullet train that they're trying to build from
Oh,
Vegas to
yeah.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get overpopulated with tourists that they're going to start charging extra for those.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like, if Leavenworth was somewhere that like someone or a lot of people just lived like in that main downtown area, I could see that being a
Oh, that's
thing
true.
because
Yep,
obviously that gets
that's
crowded.
true. Yeah,
But you also see people rent out their houses a lot because they're just like, screw this, man. There's too many people that come through here. I'm just gonna
right.
keep my house here, but I'm gonna rent it out on Airbnb or
Yeah,
Verbo or
yeah,
whatever because it's just all tourism.
right. Well, next article I read. This one's pretty cool. This one's speaking of people who's making a living on tourists or people trying to make the next big thing. So according to the New Yorker, um recently they found out that there was one college student, and there's many more, but this is just one example. One college student made $70,000 last year by selling reservations. Like basically, um, like these are like appointment traders. Like these, they would, especially like in New York, like there's basically people doing a side gig of selling reservations to like hard to get reservation places, like at restaurants and whatnot.
Uh,
And so, like for example, like they'll do it the Rezzies app. Like there's different apps that you see. Open Table, I think. Like they would get the reservation, and it's somehow, some way they'll flip it. It didn't go into detail like how they're flipping it, but they were using apps, Craigslist, maybe anything like that. But it was crazy that this one college student did that as a side gig, making over $70,000. There's also like a hotel concierge that he didn't want to be identified because it could be illegal, but he made over 80K collecting a reservation at whatever hotel restaurant that he worked at and selling it on the side.
oh my god,
Yeah. So, dude, for
that's
those
crazy.
uh for those who want to make a side gig, I mean, that is some serious side gig business. Can you imagine, like, in the US, especially um if you're like a tourist coming from another town and there's a hit restaurant opening up, and so you go ahead and just start reserving a lot of blocks and then like flipping it on the side, people
Hmm.
will pay for that. I mean, you might be asking, who the hell would pay for that? There People pay for a lot of things,
Yeah,
and this is just another thing that people will pay for.
yeah, it's crazy.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if
that's
I
that's
would.
one way to make
Yeah,
money, but
yeah. I don't know if I would pay that much, pay for a free reservations that I can get elsewhere. But I don't know, man. If you're desperate to really go to something, it might be worth it.
yeah, I was gonna
I mean,
say, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, I guess if it's a once in a lifetime, or maybe not once in a lifetime, but like, I don't know, if you're visiting and you're not expecting to come back for a while, I guess,
right, right.
it's like, oh, I'll pay for it, but
It's like the equivalent. I guess it's the equivalent of like, I'm not gonna lie. If I got Eras tour tickets secondhand, I'll probably spend a little more than retail, assuming the price to get them, because they're so hard to get.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess it's the same for restaurants, right? It's the same thing. Moving on. I don't know if you own an iPad. You have an iPad?
not a new one. I
Yeah,
have one, but it's a very
yeah.
old one.
It don't matter which generation you have an iPad, because it's been what, over 20 some years iteration of the iPad, that the iPad is finally announcing on its next operating system update, the iPad will finally have a native calendar app. Or no, sorry, calculator app.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. In reading the article, I guess Apple has never commented ever of for the reasons of why they never put a native calculator app. But it's been missing on the device forever. Like they never had a native calculator app on the iPad, which is a crazy fun fact. until this coming operating system, they're finally going to put a native calculator app on the iPad. So I don't know. You said you had an old iPad, so the operating system probably doesn't support it. So you're missing out. But
I mean, I got a
like,
phone, man.
well, yeah, but the phone
No,
always had it.
I know.
Yeah, we're talking
No,
about
no, I
specifically the
know.
iPad. Yeah, it's
But
crazy. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, when you first get an iPad or whatever, I mean, I don't know. It's like I never noticed initially because like I didn't need a calculator on
yeah. You
my iPad. You
never
know what I mean?
right. You go to your phone.
Yeah, it's like I just have my
Um,
phone, or just like I don't think about using a calculator
right,
on on my iPad. I mean, it's
right.
one of those things. Even when I'm at work, like I'll grab my phone to use as a calculator at times, but
Yeah,
like I have a calculator at my desk also to where like
yeah,
specifically, like a just a normal calculator. It's not a huge, Texas
right.
like TI
Yeah, yeah,
84 or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Um but yeah, I mean, yeah, what cuz it's kind of funny cuz once you get out of school, whatever level of school you've completed, there's not really a use for a calculator anymore
yeah,
until you start working, and then most of the time your company will provide you with a calculator,
yep,
and if they don't, then you have your phone. But most
yeah.
computers also have a calculator where you can put it on the screen. um
In my line of job, I never thought I wouldn't use the TI 84s anymore, but I
yeah,
do. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
um,
if you have it, then it
yeah,
makes sense, and depending on what
yeah,
you're trying to do, then sure. But like,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, it's like, I don't know, the best way to describe just an old school calculator is like it looks like the top of a cash register. You know what I mean? It's just very
Yeah,
much
yeah,
right there. It's all battery, solar powered, whatever, for the charge or whatever it is.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's really the only calculator that I've
It's
ever used
crazy, right?
since since I like
Yeah,
got out of since I started working. Really, it's like that's the
yeah,
calculator that I'm like, oh nice, I have a calculator. Um, or if you have just like the little small one that comes in like a binder or something,
right, right.
Um, yeah,
I don't know,
I'm
man.
I'm sure I have a calculator around here, honestly, and like an
Yeah,
actual physical calculator, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You just never know. I've always used my phone. Like I use my work
yeah,
phone for my work calculator, and then when I need to
right.
use my other phone, I'll just use that. But
But yeah, I mean, I don't use the iPad a lot. To be honest, I'm not a fan of the iPad. It's just me. But apparently, it's been a very most requested app has been going on for decades.
yeah, I
And
mean,
finally,
I
yeah,
get it. I definitely get it.
yeah,
Like the only reason that I've considered getting an iPad or upgrading to one of the newer iPads is so that I can just it mostly for notes for
yeah,
me.
yeah,
Because I work, obviously, what I do is I work in events and all that stuff, so I take a lot of notes, but it's a good sales thing as well.
right,
And that's part of what I do is partial sales.
right,
So it's just good to have notes and all that stuff. And you see a lot of people just in most professions, when they go to meetings, they'll, instead of typing, they'll just write.
right,
um, and now we're at that point in in our lives where you can take whatever notes you want, like on an iPad, you can write it all down, and then it just automatically transcribes it to text. I
right.
mean, granted, you can, with the technology now, you can take a picture of
Hmm.
notes on your phone, and it'll just,
Hmm.
you know, put it into text form, or
Right.
just
Or
like
you
that.
can,
And it's like,
or you can copy and paste,
yeah,
like copy the text
yeah,
itself.
just on like whatever you're writing. So it's
Yeah,
crazy how far we've come in that regard.
yeah,
But yeah, like I, it's one of those things. Like I would rather have an iPad just to take notes than like a sheet of paper, or not a,
yeah.
you know what I mean, like a pad folio almost. Like
Right,
it's nice because like, pad folio, you can put in like folders, whatever. You can get a cover for an iPad. You can put in paper that someone gives you at a meeting, but you can also just take a picture of the agenda that someone gives you at a meeting, and then it's automatically uploaded to your iPad or whatever, and then you can take notes on that. So,
crazy.
but it is nice because it's the paperless factor. But like,
Yeah,
you have a pad folio, and it's like, oh, maybe you have a calculator in there, and maybe you have business cards, maybe whatever.
right.
Everything's digital now. You know what I mean? Like most people have digital business cards. I mean, I know I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I know I do. It's like I have a physical card that's just plastic and it just has the like an RFD reader on it. You
Right.
can just tap it on a phone and everyone has my information. But they've recently updated their card to just have it in your like your Apple Wallet. So like
Hmm.
I can pull up my business card and be like, pull it up and then someone could just tap my phone and they would have all of my business card information just boop,
Right.
right there. But that's really the only reason I would, not to get too far off the topic, but that's the only reason I would get a newer iPad.
Right.
Mostly is just to do that and then just kind of honestly have it on the go and just have a larger screen when I'm just
Hmm.
doing certain things. Like because last year I traveled a lot, so it would be nice to then just pull up like my iPad and just put on like the Mariners game or the Kraken
Yeah.
game or traveling and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna watch the Seahawks game or something.
Right.
For me it's sports or like some sort of entertainment, but obviously the production tool on the other side, taking notes and doing all that. But I don't know. It's that, and you don't have to take your laptop everywhere. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Look, I get it. I love my our MacBook and all that stuff, and uh, like obviously we had MacBooks for a very long time of the same
Yeah.
one. You recently upgraded.
Just upgraded. Yep.
I have a MacBook Air from like 2020 or 2021.
Yep.
Um, it's nice to use those things because I still like the keyboard functionality of things and a mouse pad and all that. But I mean, an iPad's the same thing. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
can touch it. I mean, most laptops have touchscreen now, but iPad touchscreen, and you can hook up a keyboard to it if you need to.
Right.
Most
Right.
cases, actually. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. So I digress. It's
Yeah.
really that's the only reason I would upgrade to one of the newer iPads. Otherwise, there's not really a need for an iPad
Hmm.
unless you're just on the go all the time and you need a
Yeah.
larger screen to do things. I know we joked with when Samsung came out with some of their newer phones a few years ago, and it's like literally the size of an iPad, and it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
folds in half, which that technology still baffles me in the sense
Mhm.
of like, I'm surprised that screen lasts as long as it does, but
Yeah.
you
And it
do have
works
to
too.
it works, but you do have to replace it after a couple of years because
Yeah.
you just have to keep upgrading essentially
Yeah.
because the screen, like the folding rather, it's just gonna wear that screen down right there. It's
Right.
just like a
Right.
TV and their pixels, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's really the only reason to upgrade. And I guess now, if you want a calculator that's the size of your head, um, that's not like a gimmicky thing, then
Yeah. Yeah.
by all means.
People will still buy it, man. That's how it is. People will constantly still buy it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too. Like, it's funny because, like, obviously most people know calculators like this, but they don't know that if you turn it sideways, you
Hmm.
get all the other
Hmm.
functionality. And it's like,
Yeah. The more
oh,
scientific one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many people just like, oh, yeah, just, hey, it's so basic on the phone. I'm like, no, dude, just turn it sideways. And you have like scientific notation. You can get your
Yeah.
tangents, you can get your cosines, you can get all your stuff. People are like, what? So it's kind of,
It's
I don't
hard to
know, man.
use though, because you just, when you're using your phone, you just need the basics, right?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, I'm
the
not
two
pulling my
plus two,
calculator up on my phone to find, the cosine of a
the square
certain
root of
angle, the
something. Yeah.
square root of a
Yeah.
like I don't need all that functionality. Like,
Yeah.
you know what? I really think I need to find something out that's cubed.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
need to find the cubic diameter and cubic foot of this
Yeah.
thing. But you know what? There's a measure tool on your phone now too that
Yeah, dude.
that
This is
just
incredible. And it's accurate.
generates all that, and it is
Yeah.
very accurate.
Oh, even an area tool. So like
Yeah,
you can do the area of like a table you're looking at. It's incredible, dude. And it's so accurate. The tools. All from
yeah,
our phone, dude. All from our phone.
yeah. We
Yeah.
are we are spoiled in this age because I mean, my dad he just recently started using like the measure tool on his phone, but he's also old school. He
Yeah.
has a little tape measurer that he carries a tape measure in the car, and then he has a keychain tape measure as well.
Tell them to stop being old school. Just carry one thing, your phone.
I know, I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have like a tape measure because sometimes it takes a while for your phone to load up the measuring
Oh
thing. But
yeah, yeah, true.
I really only take a tape measure with me if I'm like measuring furniture. You know what I mean, or
Right,
something that
right,
I'm like, okay, I need to look at this. But even most stores at that point have a tape measurer for you to just
right.
lend out. The ones that don't or took them away, I'm like, because of COVID, like I understand, but also, damn it, why you make me bring my own tape measure now?
Right, right. Yeah. Well,
Anyways,
we'll see how it comes up. You know, I'll see if it makes more headlines about the calculator app. But anyways, speaking of crazy things being for sale, you know me, I'm an old school Warren Buffett guy, so I don't really follow um Bitcoin and stuff like that, right? What are those called? Uh
crypto.
Crypto, yeah. But apparently a couple years ago, actually no, not a couple years ago, 2017, there was uh there was the federal chair lady at the time, Janet Yellen, was talking about crypto, back in 2017. And apparently there was a famous person who, on a yellow legal pad, like a yellow notebook paper, scribbled behind her, flashed it behind her on live TV saying, buy Bitcoin. And that exact legal pad with that word just recently sold at an auction for $1 million.
Get
Or,
the heck?
yeah, or for you nerds, 16 Bitcoins. Yeah. So,
That's wild.
yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the person who bought it is remaining anonymous, but um, it was said that, with Bitcoin being so virtual, like this is one of the very few physical, what do you call it? Physical artifacts of crypto, Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, sold for $1 million. The actual now I don't know how it was verified, but there's ways of verifying that, right? But yeah, the random person who flashed that buy Bitcoin sign behind her in 2017 just sold it in an auction for $1 million.
that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. So I was like, dude, damn, that's crazy. And I don't even know if like who earned that $1 million. Like, I don't know, was it property of the government? I don't know, or if it went to that guy who wrote it. We don't know. Um,
Yeah, I
but
know.
yeah,
Like who? Yeah,
yeah, like
that's
who owned that notebook? Um,
yeah, and who? I don't understand why you
yeah,
would buy that too. But
right.
I mean, I don't know. That's crazy to me.
Actually, I was gonna say, Uncle Sam would have owned it because you're gonna pay taxes. But do you pay taxes on owning crypto, or only when you convert it to US dollars? Do you know?
Um,
Because I don't know.
it is. I mean, if you sell it, yeah, if you sell it to you in essentially to make
Yeah,
money, then yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
taxable. But I mean, just to
But what
buy
about
it,
just
you're
yeah,
not getting. It depends, right? It's the same as like stocks, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if it's
I see what you're saying.
dividends,
Yep.
but the Bitcoin, you're not getting like dividends on it, it just rises and falls like stocks. But if you have something that's gaining interest, because some crypto or whatever will gain interest over time.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's if you like vest it too. I mean, it's
yeah.
literally just normal stocks. It's like, oh, let's vest your, you know, maybe vest isn't the right word, but
I know what you mean. Yeah,
let's take your Bitcoin and then put it over here, and basically it becomes shareable, and then you still have it, but you're going to gain interest off of it. So it's
hmm,
yeah. So
yeah.
I mean,
It's crazy. Yeah,
there's a lot of that goes on. So I mean, it's just a whole other side of you know crypto, or I mean
yeah,
stocks, or investments. Jesus, could not think of the word.
Yeah.
You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean that's kind of what it is just same difference. Yeah, I mean you're just buying essentially stock or coin, but if it has some sort of dividend or interest, then yeah,
Mhm.
you'll
Yeah.
definitely get tax paperwork for it. But you know,
Right.
if it's
Right.
low enough though, they don't care.
Right.
Like you don't have to file it on your taxes if it's like under $10 or whatever it is. Technically,
Right.
like the IRS. If you're listening, we didn't say that. That's not valid advice for
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
But they're not going to go after us for say if we were to I don't know the best thing I can think of is like oh your bank account sent you a your 1090 I or whatever form
Yeah.
for interest
Yeah.
on your savings account that you have in your
Yeah.
bank, and you made $10.37 this year in interest. And it's like, if someone forgets that, they're not going to come after you and raid your house or knock down
Right.
your
Right.
door over $10. There's people that are actually doing tax evasion things that they're going to go after before they even,
Yeah.
you know, go after you.
But
But
go talk to your tax advisor. We're not
go talk
tax.
to your tax
Yeah.
advisor for sure.
Oh
Uh,
man.
but yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
unless you're staking, there it is. That's the word I was looking for.
Oh
Staking. I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
why I
staking.
couldn't
Yeah,
think.
I know what you're talking about then.
Unless you're staking your crypto,
Yeah,
then
where you're like
yes,
making or like mining crypto. Is that similar?
kind of. Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's a lot of people that, and this is why to all those nerds out there. That's why these graphics cards. When I was building my computer, I bought my graphics card, and obviously it's usually the most expensive component of your PC because it does
Yeah.
your graphics, but it's also one of the most powerful components in Bitcoin mining.
Bitcoin.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's how people mine currency too. So that's why there was that uptick in surge and pricing for computer parts back in
Yeah.
10 years ago, 12 years ago. Just because people were buying it so that they could mine Bitcoin
Hmm.
um to basically get their Bitcoin. That's why people would buy it so much. Like they'd have 10 to 20 computers just mining Bitcoin in the corner.
That's crazy.
Very very small increments of it, mind you, but if you invested in it at that point and spent, I don't know, who knows how much people spent on graphics cards to mine Bitcoin
Yeah.
back then. But unless you were consistently doing it, like you weren't really gonna, what one coin right now is, what's it at? Hold on, let me look. What are we at today for Bitcoin? Bitcoin's, well, yeah, like I said, even if you had 20 of these, of graphics cards that you may have spent at that time
Yeah.
20 to $30,000, one Bitcoin, if you kept it up, is now worth $64,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I see, yeah, because there's lately the I say stocks, but the crypto landscape has been going nuts lately. Within the last
Yeah.
month, like it's very just aggressive, like way down, way up, way down, way up. I think because I obviously invest in some crypto outside
Yeah.
of just the normal investments that I have, but yeah, it's crazy when your phone starts going off like nuts. I'm like, what the heck is happening? It's like, oh, Bitcoin is not that I own that much Bitcoin. I don't have one full Bitcoin. I'll say that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's like, oh, Bitcoin's up 5% over the last hour, but you get like several of those things, and it's like,
Hmm.
oh, it jumped up from 42,000 and now it's $60,000 over 2 days, and I'm like, what is going on with crypto right now? Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the whole point of that's just staking, and that's where the tax stuff comes in. It's just your
Right.
earning.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, speaking of things people keep buying or ridiculous things people can buy. Um This is probably for you and other fellow shoe heads. This would have been actually I could see Destin buying this. So New Balance in August are slated to drop their newest shoe that's going viral right now. I don't know if you heard it. It's called a Snoafer, right? So it's a combination of
Snoafer?
yep, it's a combination of a sneaker and a loafer. Um, look it up, dude. New Balance Snoafer. You just have to visually see this, but it's coming out in August because New Balance is betting on not only can you go to the office in these shoes, but go ahead and go to your nearest hoop sesh right after.
This is hilarious.
And it's not even a joke shoe. Like they're dropping it. Now I don't know if it's gonna be a line of something. Maybe it's just like a viral thing, like a one-time special thing, just to kind of uh bring, like people to look at New Balance. I mean, New Balance is owned by Nike, so it's not like, they need all that,
Yeah.
exposure. But it's just another trend of ugly shoes to go viral. And New Balance said, we can top that. And so they're coming out with the Snoafer. Um, hey, man, there's no laces to it. And you know me, I'm all about no laces, no need to
Yeah.
tie shoes. I don't know. I might pick one up if it's not a ridiculous of a price.
Yeah. I
What do you
feel like
think?
a lot of shoes are going this direction now. It's funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
Snow.
it's like when Nike and Cole Haan,
Did they? No, I
yeah, they
never seen
worked
that.
on Cole Haan worked on a shoe with Nike, and they basically it's a dress shoe. I mean, that's what I wear is Cole Haan, but
Yeah,
uh
yeah, I know Kohan. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So like
Oh,
when
I know
Nike,
what you're talking about. Like casual,
yeah, so
Yeah,
when Nike obviously they launched their lunar lawn like sole on some of their running shoes
yeah,
however many years ago, then they partnered with Cole Haan and made their dress shoes with like that sole
yeah,
on it. And that's honestly what I wear still now.
yeah.
Just because
Yeah,
it's
you remember my
comfortable.
my wedding shoes?
Yeah,
Like it was like leather on top, like dressy leather, but then it was like a sneaker soles on the bottom.
yeah, yeah. That's what I
Yeah,
was wearing at your wedding too.
yeah, because it's just comfortable.
It is.
Um,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's super
anyways,
nice. It's
we'll
just
check back in again in August. See how those sales go.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
I feel like
yeah.
Dustin. I mean, this is an old, but no,
This it,
you know who's gonna buy this, right?
Pete Carroll.
No, what?
Oh no, no. Who?
You
I was
know
thinking
who?
of Pete Carroll.
No, no. I think our friend group. You know who's gonna buy this,
Yeah.
right?
You think Joe Mars gonna buy it?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Because apparently, so though if you look at the initial one, it's like the typical, New Balance style. But
Yeah,
they haven't I haven't seen it, but they're supposed to make a brown colored one, which is probably gonna be more quote unquote dressy.
yeah. This just looks ridiculous, by the way.
Dude, it
Uh,
does. Even me, you know me, I wear ridiculous shit just because I wear what's comfortable.
yeah,
And even I don't think I would wear this.
yeah. I don't
Yeah.
see it. I mean, unless they got it clean, like I mean, like unless we're talking like Cole Haan type of here. Hold on. This is yeah, it's just crazy. Let's see here. Yeah, I can't see it. I don't know. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It
No.
doesn't really even look comfortable, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is comfortable. I can't
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not comfortable. It could be very comfortable, but I'm like, it doesn't look great.
No.
Yeah, it's not like some of these other things, you know what I mean?
Right.
Hold on here. Where are we? Here we go. Let's just drop this one and drop this in the chat so you can kind of see what we're talking
Yeah. Let me
about here.
see.
just I mean that's just one example. There's multiple things that I could go to or
Oh, yep, yeah,
examples.
yeah.
Whereas like,
No, this is
yeah,
this is a common shoe. I love these ones.
yeah, and it's like
Yeah,
it's super nice.
yeah.
And there's also like,
You could wear it casual. You could wear it dressy.
yeah, there's these ones that are a little bit more classier in terms of like
Yep, yep.
look,
Like
but it's
that's what I wore for my wedding.
yeah. So it's
I don't
just
know if it
like,
was a particular brand, but yeah,
yeah, it's just something like that. Or even if you want to go your classic your wingtip, you know what I mean? I used to wear a lot of wingtips when I first started in the
yeah. And
industry.
then you got these now.
And then you got these, and I'm like, well, damn. Like I can bring my wingtips back, but I could be comfortable because the other ones,
Exactly,
they hurt after,
exactly.
whatever. Well, there's the break-in process where they hurt, and then they last, they're good for a couple months, and then
Yeah,
they just hurt your feet.
yeah,
So I'm like, just yeah. We've come very far in a lot of things.
yeah.
Um,
We have.
yeah, we're old men bemoaning our past, which is just
Yeah,
funny, but hey man, it's just one of those things. Like
right.
there's comfortable options out there. There's
Exactly.
convenience, in your phone now, where you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
carry your tape measure on your belt loop or
Nope.
whatever, or on your belt rather. It's just
Well, unless you technically, unless you still rock a phone holder, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
there's
were
still
there.
people who do that. There's still people who
Oh
do that.
yeah,
I used to do that with my BlackBerry.
yeah. Well, I mean, I used to do that in college too. That was a cool thing.
Damn, dude, I might bring that
Which is
back. To be honest,
which is hilarious now that
that's
we're
pretty
saying
dope,
it.
dude.
We're
I
saying it
would
out
bring.
loud now.
You know what? I might look on Amazon tonight for a fucking iPhone holder. How dope would that be, dude? iPhone holder. Uh,
I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. It makes sense if you're like, if the profession calls for that, right?
yeah, yeah,
We're like, you're contractor, you're doing whatever. You have an
right.
OtterBox or whatever on your phone because you're gonna drop that shit. Clip it in. I had, when we had all OtterBoxes because we were all afraid to break our phone screen before we knew it, we could
Yeah,
just replace the phone screen. Because we have adult money now, then we're like, if it breaks, I'll just replace it. It's however much. Back then you're like, no, I'm gonna get this bulky ass case that is actually twice the size of my phone so that I don't break my phone. Oh man.
dude.
Now it's like there's a minimalist, like, it's just a very thin case kind of thing. Like I'm like, that's
Dude, I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna send you some later tonight. I'm gonna highly consider it.
the the
The
belt.
the belt holster.
The
I'm gonna highly consider that.
if
Um,
BlackBerry can't came out with a new phone now, or even the sidekick, if the sidekick comes back,
yeah,
where the swivel,
yeah,
like I would consider bringing back the belt clip for your phone, because I mean, hey, I get it. It's just easier to get to. Like sometimes
yeah,
your pockets are deep or
yeah.
your
Exactly,
pockets are
right?
too tight. Like I get it. I understand.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, we're also to the point where fanny packs are the hot thing again. You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're rocking fanny packs and calling them body bags and wrapping it
yeah,
around our chest instead of our fanny or our hips.
yeah,
I know it's just funny because now I'm like, everyone's like, oh yeah, it's a body bag. I'm like,
yeah.
bro, that's been a thing for a very long time.
It
And it was
has.
laughed at when people had fanny pack. Well, it wasn't laughed at. You could just
Yeah,
tell how old you were if you're a dad because you had a fanny pack.
right.
But it's just
Yeah,
it's so funny the trends. You know what I mean? Like you see
yeah.
this stuff
Trends
come
come and
back,
go.
and it's like
Yeah, that's why
it's like I get it.
as we get older, that's why rock what makes you feel comfortable. No matter the trend, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I just think it's funny too, because it's like, oh man, um, you see all these trends that are coming back in terms of like clothing and
yeah,
style and all that stuff, and you just laugh. You're like, oh
yeah.
my god, this is hilarious.
All right, man. Well, that's all we got today. I know we kind of already had our final say, but you got any final say before we wrap it up and say goodnight?
I don't think so,
Hmm.
honestly. Yeah, it's kind of been one of those weeks. I don't know what day it is. I obviously know what
Right.
day.
Seriously.
I know what day it is, but I like
Yeah.
there's
I
been
know what you mean.
thoughts. It
I
was
know
I
what you
mean
mean.
last week I think what was happening last week. This quick story, sidebar story for you, but I we're pretty good about cooking and doing all that stuff and saving
Yeah.
money in that regard. More so now that we're like kind of have a routine versus like when we were both like on separate schedules. So like when she was on a swing shift and when I was just on a normal shift, it was like it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
stick to a routine in that way. I mean, we each had our own routine, but our routine didn't really include each other except like
Hmm.
for a couple of days. I digress, but I think we have a routine down here and it's kind of nice and doing whatever, but this speaks to how much I've had to work. It was Allie was just happened to be in the same town, city, whatever, where I work, because she had to get something done. Uh,
Hmm.
um, just had to drop something off to get worked on, and then she was like, "Hey, I'm in whatever," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." I was like, "I don't know. I'm gonna be here until at least. I'm not getting off early. I'm gonna be here until at least 5:30, potentially even 6. Do you want to come down and I can just buy dinner, at the dining center because obviously I work on the college campus." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't really want to cook tonight, and you're not going to want to cook since you've been at work for almost what will be 11 hours."
Sheesh.
So
Yeah.
she came down and she met one of my coworkers that works in dining and catering. Um, first time because you don't usually just introduce people to your coworkers because
Yeah.
that time doesn't really always come up. But yeah, I introduced that, and she was like, "Oh, why are you, da 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 da?" And we're just like, "Yeah, she was in town, so I figured, like, hey, we neither of us are going to want to cook tonight, so I just offered to buy dinner." And they were like, "Oh, you're a bad influence." I'm like, "Oh, come on. It's been a tough week. I figured we've been good."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Dude, it's Tuesday." I'm like, "Shit."
Yeah.
like like that just
That's
tells you
crazy.
how long it's like or how much time
Yeah.
I'd spent in the
Yeah.
past month where I'm like, that's completely fair, but
Yeah.
that also points out a very like how much I've been here kind of thing. And they're like, "Yeah, you have been here a lot lately." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's shit." Okay, yeah, you called me on that one because
Yeah.
I didn't know what the fuck day it was. I said we've been good all week, and it's Tuesday. It's the second day of the week.
Right.
It was
I know
just funny.
exactly what you mean, dude.
I
Yeah.
was like,
I
damn,
know.
damn. I feel like I just got called out, and I'm like, nah. It's just, I mean, I did get called out in more ways than one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, dude, it's Tuesday, but also like, you've been here too much. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
recognize that. Commencement's this week. It's on Saturday. Like,
Jeez. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's already here for us. So that's one of
yeah.
those things. Like, I worked this past weekend, and I just got to get through this week and Saturday. And
Hmm.
Allie's actually flying back up for a bachelorette thing for one of her friends.
Oh, nice.
So it's cool, but like it's like, damn, she's leaving at the time. It's actually probably good timing because I have to work
Right.
Thursday until like 9 p.m. and then I have to work
Yeah.
Friday until 9 p.m. and then I have to get my ass back to campus for commencement by like 6 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah.
So there wasn't going to be much time of me being around and being functioning,
Hmm.
like a functioning adult, for those three
Hmm.
days, which is a good thing, but also a bad thing because, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not going to be a functioning adult. That means I'm not going to have anybody else around to monitor
Yeah.
me. So I'm probably gonna pass out after I get home on Saturday and just
Jeez.
call it good. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
anyways,
Maybe we'll she's in town for a little longer. We'll grab her for a quick brunch or something, but we'll
yeah,
see.
hit her up. I know she's only in town until I think she flies back Sunday afternoon or
Mm.
something. But
Yeah.
who knows? I don't know what they're doing for their bachelorette thing. I think they
Hmm.
booked a house in Seattle or something, but I don't.
Yeah.
I think she lands and they're going to like get mimosas or something. So it's like a
Gotcha.
very
Gotcha.
quick, like a
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
go. So
All right,
yeah.
man. Well,
Yeah, anyways, that was kind of a random story in terms of
no, it makes sense. I think we're all feeling that way. So here's
that time of the year. It's that time of the
yeah.
year.
Yeah, so here's on to long but not crazy hectic days and shorter weeks, and us enjoying a good spring and beautiful upcoming summer.
Yeah, for Dustin too. I know that
Yeah.
to this whole point of what we just made.
Yeah.
Why Dustin wasn't on this episode? Because he is probably sleeping. Because he
Yep.
doesn't know what day it is or what time it is or whatever it is. He'll
Yeah.
probably text us. I haven't seen anything come through yet,
Yeah, I
but
haven't seen it either. Yeah.
he'll probably wake up in about an hour and be like, "Well, I fell asleep."
Yeah.
We're like, "Yeah, we figured."
Well
But
deserved. Anyways.
yeah, I mean, hey, you take it when you can get it when you're
Yeah.
that busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get it. I got home early
Yeah.
today. When I said 12 minutes to you, that's because I just woke up from like a 30-minute power nap because
There
I
you
got
go.
home a little early, but I was so
Yeah.
exhausted that I sat down and next thing I knew, like, you know, I don't even know. I just kind of, it was one of those, like, I only napped for like 30 minutes, which I haven't
Yeah.
napped in a very long time, but it was definitely one of those, like, the memes of like, what year is it? Jesus,
Yeah.
where's my water bottle?
Right.
I'm so, my throat's dry. They're like, dude, you've only been napping for like 30 minutes. I'm like,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was when Allie got home that I woke up and I was like, Jesus, where am I? Where am I? I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I've only been 30 minutes. That's fine.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. As we're signing off, man, keep talking with each other, keep thinking together, keep growing together, and we'll see y'all next time.